Elon Musk tweeted outrage after Tesla lost its spot on the widely followed S&P 500 index for ESG, which tracks the stocks of companies that it ranks highly for environment, social and governance standards. Musk tweeted, quote, Exxon is rated top 10 best in world for environment, social and governance by S&P 500, while Tesla didn't make the list. ESG is a scam. It has been weaponized by phony social justice warriors.
Do you personally think that the elections in San Luis are free and fair?
No. They're fixed. They've been fixed. They already know, seriously, who is going to win the next election before it even happens.
All right, Jack.
Hey there, George.
Thank you, everyone, for jumping on with us. We got a good little crowd here across platforms. I just want to I want to give a shout out. We have a really cool guest tomorrow. We're gonna have the state director for Convention of States in Massachusetts. There's some cool things going down in Massachusetts for Convention of States, and his name is Michael Arnold. He reached out and we were talking for a while, and there's some really cool stuff going on. And, we decided to go ahead and have a conversation about it. So if you haven't, you won't see the invite or you won't see the event listed until around 8:30 East Coast time. So probably right after this, because Rumble doesn't let me do it more than 24 hours in advance. But Jack, so here we are, man. So, right now, two topics for today. One, and I want to get started with this one, Jack, and just get your take. So, we've talked a lot now, right, about ESG and these environmental, social justice and governance scores created by the Big Four. That's from Klaus's mouth, not mine. That's who they had come in to come up with those scores, and that this was the reason why companies are so woke today, because they're getting judged on, arbitrarily on these factors, right? And Musk has been tweeting about it, but now they're kind of going. And I said this also with the Musk when Musk bought Twitter, this ain't over. Like money, this was the difference, right, between money and power. Like being the richest man, whatever. That brings power, but it doesn't bring the kind of power that the forces he's up against have. And now they removed Tesla of all companies from the S&P 500 ESG index, which is a thing. It's a thing that, and for those that don't understand it, they've created these social justice and governance and environmental rules. And Tesla of all things, like they should score high enough on the environment side. There's no atrocities that they've committed socially, so it's like, how do they not score enough? They literally changed the entire nation into thinking electric cars are cool. Like, how on earth do they? First they were scored mid to high risk, and now they're off the index altogether. How is that possible?
Well, because it like you said, it's a scam. Look, you and I have been exposed to ESG for years. We both work for Fortune 20 companies, and we're exposed to trainings, we're exposed to that type of a culture, and we've seen it develop. And it really has very little to do with how much a corporation cares about, the social climate. What they care about is what they should care about, and that's money, right? Because that's what a corporation is there for. It's to turn a profit. But their profits are endangered by the threat of having a low ESG score. So if they can't prove how woke they are, their score gets reduced, and boom, money goes pouring out of their stock. It's basically, it kind of reminds me of when you told me about when you used to own the restaurant and you used to have the Yelp reviews. And if you paid for Yelp reviews, they would go to the front of the pile. And if you didn't pay, then they would find any bad one they could and keep it on the top. And it's kind of like, the old New York,
Yeah, it's
guy banging on
racketeering.
your door. It's a protection racket.
Yeah, it's like I don't need protection. Who do I need protection from? Us,
Yeah.
right?
Us.
I
Yeah.
I mean,
No
that's
kidding.
what it comes down to. And like even in that Yelp scenario, it was very similar. Like there were literally marketers that would like they that's what they did. They were marketers for a living. They'd come into my restaurant and basically tell me for X, Y, and Z, we can get you, and they would have teams of Yelp reviewers that like elite Yelp reviewers, and I was just like, screw you. Like I was like, get out. Like I don't care. Screw Yelp, screw you, and screw all of you. And you know what? We still ended up doing pretty well on Yelp. There was one place we always got tacked at one specific season, but otherwise, we were 3 4, we were 3.5 4 stars, regardless, even with the attacks. But like Elon, like people don't understand what the impact is. I don't think people really get the whole ESG thing and what the impact is on a company. Like, so now, mind you, I've been reading up on it to see if they really are bailing on Elon. People are trying to tie a drop in his stock to the ESG scores, but it's actually at least at the moment the drop was happening anyway. It's because there are issues in the supply chain. So they're dealing with a lot of what every company's dealing with, whereas they can't keep up with product. Well, not every company can't keep up with production. That's a good problem to have, and few do. Apple is one, but they can't keep up with production because of supply chain issues. But like, and it says that a lot of these ESG investors are not giving it's the way they write the articles. ESG investors not yet giving up on Elon Musk or giving up on Tesla. And I'm like, yeah, they're not yet giving up on them because the freaking company is going to dominate the electric vehicle space. And in the end, what they really care about is money, right? And
You know
like
what?
they
Yeah.
should, like they
As
should. I
as they
mean, they're
should.
investors. Like that's what you're doing. You're investing so that you can make money. Like that's, but they create these funds and then they hang it over. Like if it wasn't Elon Musk, if this was some smaller company, this could be devastating getting taken off that, even though
Yeah,
it's a
because
useless arbitrary metric.
yeah, what happens tomorrow morning, for example, and I'll just pick a Vanguard or Magellan or whatever, and they're holding X amount. So it's the fund manager. It's not ESG investors. This is cooked up by Wall Street. So these fund managers push the button, and on the floor goes a sell ticket for their percentage of holdings, right? And if other funds start throwing in these sell tickets, the price starts dropping, right? Now, they
Yeah.
turned around and said they're not ready to give up on him yet. If he calls their bluff and other corporations see that this is, a bunch of BS and they're not going to get dumped on, he could be starting to turn the tide. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little optimistic, but
Yeah, you know what? I look, I said this early on when he first bought Twitter. Like Elon needs to be careful right now.
mm,
Like he's this super billionaire with great vision and a lot of swag, but there's a part of me that feels like he doesn't really understand the depth of the game that he's playing right now. And like and it's more than a game. Like I think there's some level of sincerity in this with him. I'm still a little bit skeptical of Musk. Like, I have no reason to be at the moment. I just am because that's just how I am, But like, but in the end, like there's a part of me that feels like he must know, right? Like
yeah,
he must know the depth of what he's in. And at the other side of it, it's like maybe he doesn't. You know what I mean? Or maybe it's what I really think it is that he understands to some degree, but he really just has zero F's to give. So
yeah,
and in the end, he's like, you know what? Like, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna make me poor. You know what I mean? Like
right.
you guys are using this money to keep score in your little freaking game world there. Like I'm already winning. He's like, and that's why he wanted to take Twitter private, and that's why he tried to take Tesla in space. Like he'd love to take these things private because he wants out of that whole ESG game and this World Economic Forum and all. He wants out of all of it. Like he has no intention to become turning his company into a bunch of doo-doo-doos like Disney, where Disney's like the worst of the bunch though, because with them it's disgusting because it's children, right? But
Yeah.
but you look at things like Coca-Cola, right, where they train their employees in training be less white, right? Like all that's for ESG score, all of that.
Yeah. We are
And like the
starting to see.
environmental piece, I don't even really have that big a problem. I mean, like as long as to me, if they're going out and seriously damaging the environment, well, that's kind of effed up, right? We're not trying to go back to that day, right, where they're dumping oil in the water and whatever,
Right. Right.
toxic. Like, I'm not trying to go back to that, but as long as they're like reasonable and making good effort for the like that's something that at least you could measure. Like the racial, the social stuff and the governance stuff, you can't. That's completely subjective. It's completely subjective. They can literally change the rules at any time and just bury a freaking massive company because they don't want to comply.
Right. Well, I'll tell
Hey,
you what.
Sheila Malloy just put this up. And I agree with her 100%. Everyone, please hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, hell, if you're even watching on Facebook, Twitch, or Rumble, shoot out. We are so close to the goal we set originally of 1,000 subscribers. Of course, the goals will move on, but like this was a big one. If you're not familiar with YouTube and channels and things like that, 1,000 subscribers is kind of a badge of honor, and we've done it. When we will do it, and it will come shortly. And when it does, we've did it with a lot of shadow banning, a lot of like it was really organic. And if you just stumbled upon us and you can't stand what we're talking about, don't do it. But like if you've been watching from time that you've caught some of our videos and you like the content, we are definitely trying like heck to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We've way surpassed that on Facebook but on YouTube, they've been a superior challenge. So sorry, Jack, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I saw that comment come up and I felt like I needed
No,
to
no, no, no. That's fine. I'm
needed
used
to
to you cutting
promote
me off,
ourselves
George.
cheaply for a moment.
Yeah, I'm used to you cutting me off, George. I mean, you and I talk enough. I mean, awful even have to be, online, and so anyway, I'll get over my hurt feelings. But so take a look at what's going on over at Netflix, right? And internal letter that they sent out of the memo. Hey, if you're gonna break down in tears, maybe this isn't the right company
I
because of
love
Rick.
that, bro.
Oh yeah. Well, did you see the Ricky
I,
Gervais video? Did
no.
you see it
Oh,
yet?
the Oscars one or like the classic one?
Oh, no, that the one that so they did that memo in advance of the Ricky Gervais special. That's just I think it just today.
He's the dude that did that Oscars thing, right? Where
Yes.
like
I'll send it to you later. We're not queued up, so I have no way of putting it and sharing it for everybody, but it is funny it's comical. He goes off on the whole woke crowd and the whole transgender movement.
that's great.
Oh, wait till you
I
see it.
love that. I love what he did at that award show, dude. It was great.
Well, if you love
Telling them
that, you're
all,
gonna love
I know
this.
Jeffrey Epstein's your friend. Like that was.
Yeah.
He's like, I know this will be the last one I do. He's
Yeah,
like,
that's
so
right.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
make it count.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was great. All
No,
right, so
so we are seeing
let's
some of
move
that
on to
tide
the
turning.
2,000 mules. What's that?
Yeah, we are seeing some of that tide turning. Hey, George, before we move on to 2,000 mules, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge what happened down in Texas today, and it's just
Yeah, I heard about it on the way home.
yeah, it's horrific, and I don't know what it's going to. From what I understand, the police department had a heads up about this guy, and
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
you know what though? That's something we got to be careful with because
Yeah,
they always say that. They always say we looked at their social media and it said this and it said that, and though, before I start going down that path, you know, these are kids, so like I don't know how many kids talk smack like that on social media
right.
and don't do anything, right? Like we have to be careful with. I mean, look, the kids know each other, right? Like when I say the kids, I mean like when you have that crazy kid at school, like everyone knows he's that crazy kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they kind of build a reputation. High schools are kind of it was a high school, right?
No, it was
I just heard
elementary
it on the
school.
radio on the way home. So
He went to an elementary school.
oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, look,
and
man.
yeah, there were a few there. You know what? Read the backstory. You just caught a little piece of it. I only
Yeah,
caught a little piece of it. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge it, and because it is a horrible thing, and I'm sure our listeners have heard about it and they're thinking about it, and all we can do is, include their families in our prayers tonight, right?
yeah, for sure. They're definitely
Uh,
in the prayers, and look, man, our schools are a crazy place right now on all levels, right? They're a crazy place, and like I don't know enough about the inner workings of the schools to be able to start commenting on, you know, what we can do better. But I do know that one thing that we could do immediately is train and arm teachers and faculty. There's no reason we can't train and arm these people. Like there's, these stories from some of these shootings where they're like defending themselves with a chair against a guy with a shotgun. Like there's no, I'm not saying just throw guns in the classrooms. You have them in a safe. You know what I mean, or in a I mean, I have a gun. My Glock is right next to my bed. It's in a holster that locks. You can't get it out of there. The trigger is not accessible. I mean, there's one in the chamber, but and I'm not worried about anybody getting hold of it. So like, they've got to train them on how to use them properly and keep them in you have to be able to fight back. The only in a free country, not whether it's a gun or anything, if you really want to kill somebody, you can kill them.
yeah,
Like if you have no regard for the punishment and for the penalty and for what happens to you, then you can absolutely kill. That comes with being free. Like you can't. There's no way to avoid that. There's none. There is a way, however, for people to defend themselves.
hmm,
And I think of all of the stories out there that are tragic, and I think of all the stories that are out there where someone present also had a firearm and takes down the person who would have just walked through mowing people down. There was one story of a church where someone was packing in church, and the guy
yeah,
came in, started shooting, and he was bang bang. He killed one person, and it took everybody out, and everybody else started pulling out their guns, and the guy, was downed immediately. But like you've got people have to learn how to be responsible. 95%, 99%, whatever the percentage is. We're not all lunatics. And the fact of the matter is, if the good guys are disarmed and the bad guys are armed, it's never going to end well. It's never going to end well. Anyway, that's my take. That's my hot take. So,
yeah.
and
And
here's an
you know what?
interesting one. Listen to this. So Sylvia Marsa says in Israel, in the schools, every adult has a gun, and they lock the entrance with armed guards. I don't know about locking the entrance. There's an element of not making this a prison, right? Like there's just an element of not having the school behave as if it's a prison. Like we're losing. It's almost like letting terrorism win. Like you're losing sight of the fact that this doesn't happen in thousands of schools across the country. Like the fact that it happens is a tragedy, and should something like this happen, kids should be reporting early signs. The teachers, like I said, should be able to defend the children. Like they need to be able. There need to be adults that can defend the children. You don't need armed guards everywhere. You just if the teachers know how to handle a firearm, they're not going to be pulling it out and like scrubbing themselves with it during class. It's going to sit there, right? Like it's going to be locked up, in a holster safe or whatever. And when that's and it won't be in view, so it's not like the kids are going to be sitting there looking at this gun on the desk all day. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if they start hearing gunshots in a hallway, any classroom that shooter goes into, he should be met with return fire. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
my take on it. That's just my take on it. And it is what it is. But it's a
Yeah, no,
tragedy.
I
I'll learn more
agree.
about it.
I think
I'll, I'll,
the one thing that is certain, it's not the weapon, it's the individual. In China, there was a guy on a subway that stabbed 11 people, right? Ran right up and down the aisles, just stabbing people. People run over a whole boatload of people with vehicles. It's something wrong with these people, and
in the end, it's probably a good idea to start opening up mental facilities again.
yeah.
And just learn the damn lessons of the past. Like, so, all right, we don't want them to be creepy, right? So, all right, we don't want to, we don't want to be making the mistakes that they made in the past. But nonetheless, you still need them. You can't leave these people just roaming in the streets. Like, I hate it when people have solutions that make problems worse. It drives me insane. Anyway,
We better
let's,
move. Yeah,
prayers,
let's go.
and then, let's go ahead and get into this 2000 mules. So, so I think, Jack, you even put a video out on this that, like,
Hmm.
you know, we're waiting, right? So, like, it was like, okay, the documentary comes out, we all see it, and we're all kind of, you know, looking at it as if it's a smoking gun. And, and I think we made it clear when we saw it that, like, it's not like this is what you take into court, but this is what you take into the police precinct and say, here's leads, right? Here's where you go. These are the people you find. This is where, this is who you take out. And we were worried, right? That, like, is anyone gonna, is this documentary just gonna fade into the abyss, and nobody, everyone still keep the big lie narrative going on, and we still 2 years later can't get a solid investigation. Well, fortunately we did, at least from, as much as they could gather, right? Like, they can't get warrants and things like that to get the names, but they certainly gave the police enough. And now in Yuma County, Arizona, and San Luis, the city of San Luis, which, if you're not familiar with San Luis from the documentary, that's what the woman, and we included her in the header video, where they asked her, she was the whistleblower, and they're like, "Do you think elections are fair in San Luis, in the city of San Luis?" And she was like, "No, they're fixed. They've always been fixed." And she's like, "They know who's going to win before the election even happens." Well, in that city is where they're starting to crack down, and they've gone in with search warrants, they've seized people's phones, they're starting to gather evidence, and it looks like, knock on wood, but it looks like they're finally making a move.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm pumped. I mean, like you said, as soon as we watched that video, we went live, we talked about it. I put that piece out, said, hey, it's not going to be the FBI that's going, we're not going to be able to rely on a federal agency, right? They're not doing their job as it is. We need to rely on local law enforcement. It's got to be done at the local level, and communities need to stand up, get a hold of their local sheriffs, their DAs, and so forth, especially in those counties that were highlighted in the film, and say, look, let's take a look at this, because those guys will crack. I'm absolutely positive,
Yeah.
even though I can't say, I shouldn't say I'm positive, but I'm positive that those people that were mules were so desperate for money, at
Yeah,
least
it's
some
not
of
the
them.
mafia, right?
Yeah, they're gonna,
It's not like
no,
like
they're
they
people
ain't,
that,
they ain't
yeah,
sitting there
they're,
saying, like, well, the Don will kill me if like, these people will sing like pigeons. You start telling them, look, we got stuff, we've got your data, we've got you located here, 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 you're at freaking 100 and 150 drop boxes over the course of a month. You know what I mean? Like, we know, like, we have, and you're going to get put away for election fraud unless you start talking.
and they were all over.
Bro, the
They'll roll over.
karaoke mics are gonna be everywhere. These guys are gonna be singing like friggin'. They're gonna be
Oh, yeah,
singing like
singing
crazy,
like birds. Yep, without a
and it's a
doubt.
beautiful thing. And
It
that's what,
is.
And look, now we got the elections. I mean, I'm curious to know what it was like in Georgia today. Like were there people watching, drop boxes and things like that, or did Georgia ban? They didn't ban drop boxes, right?
No,
No.
nope.
So I'm curious to know if if it comes to it, were there cameras on the drop boxes? Were there like these are things that I want to know now. Like after seeing 2,000 Mules, like I feel like if I'm ahead of a state and I hear all of this just went down in my state, I don't care if I don't even believe that it happened. I'm getting those cameras on because my attitude is like, they're not calling us out like this again, being sloppy, no cameras, no nothing. What I mean, the drop boxes need to be removed altogether. This idiocy that like people are so stupid that they can't I can't figure out how to vote. Like this is not, if you can't figure out how to freaking go to a polling place, you can go to the drop box, but you can't go to the polling place, right? It makes no freaking sense, dude. It makes no sense.
Well, you know what? Oh, go ahead.
No,
But
sorry. I just saw a
they will
comment. She said,
don't bring them up. This one. But you know what? The fact of the matter is that we've always had vote by mail, but it had its constraints on it, right? So no one's
You had to
saying
apply for it, though.
absolutely.
Big
So
difference.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We've always had it. You had to apply for it. Like I would have to get on a plane and I'd be out of the country, right? And I knew I wasn't going to be available to vote. So I put in my application to vote by mail, right? It's the exception, not the rule. And so that's what we need to go back to is making an exception, not the rule. If you're physically incapable of getting to a polling place for whatever reason, then you should have the opportunity to vote by mail. Other than that, there is no excuse not to go.
I mean, look, the aesthetics of the election alone were enough to make me not believe anybody. Like just the way like there's a certain way people who have truth on their side behave, and like nobody on the government side was behaving that way. Nobody.
Yeah.
Like no, the courts didn't want to hear it. FBI wouldn't touch it. You know, all the cameras were turned off that day. YouTube is shutting everybody down who speaks about it. Facebook shut it. All the media giants shutting everybody down. If you say something, you get attacked. Like all of that is behavior that comes from people who have something to hide. When you have the truth on your side, you don't sunlight is your friend.
Yeah.
Sunlight is your friend. You like people come out and say, "Hey, I have concerns here." If all these polling workers, I mean, shoot, there were a couple of thousand of them across the country saying, "Look, there was a ton of shady stuff that we thought we saw." You go and you look at it, and then you explain to them why it wasn't shady. You don't just say you're crazy, go away, it's a big lie. That's a 10-year-old response to something that's incredibly serious. But that was the answer. That was the response. When they tried to do an audit in Maricopa, you know, everybody, all these loons, these crazy people, blah, blah. Like, dude, it's a freaking election audit. Like, it's going to be what it is. Like, instead of why not get involved with it and see if you can, see, like, let it be a bipartisan thing. It doesn't need to be like, for the love of God. Like, honestly, it's not even about Trump for me. This has been going on longer than Donald Trump,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. And on
Yeah.
both
And here's
sides.
Robert says Arizona's taking action. That's what we're talking about right now. Is Yuma County
Yeah.
and the action they're taking. They what was it in now I'm forgetting the city, San Luis,
San
right?
Luis.
San,
Yeah. Yep.
San
They've
Luis
issued some.
and Yuma and so it says here. I'm looking at the article now. I can even probably share this with people. This is just one article of of whatever, but let me. Uh, hold on. I'm a little slow here, a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's not normal though.
You You got jokes, huh, Jack? You got
I got
jokes.
jokes.
All right. And let's bring it in. All right. So here's the article. So there was a section here, and so here's the headline. So confirmed search warrant served at Arizona nonprofit for employees' home uh, and for employees' home in connection with 2,000 mules ballot trafficking. So and that's what we wanted to see, right? We wanted to see the local guys going after the nonprofits because the nonprofits are where this is, right? But apparently, one of the employees they actually went to his home, and for them to pick one employee, right, tells me that they know something, like they're onto something. For them to go to one employee, it's not like they went to the houses of all the employees that are there. They went to one employee's house, took one employee's phone. So
Hmm.
clearly, this employee is significant, right? Clearly, this employee matters, and like, and that's where I'm just fired up to hear that they're going after it because I'm at a place now where I don't really believe. I don't believe in authorities. I don't believe in the FBI. I used to think was the gold standard, and now they're just not. Now after Comey, and it's been going on, mind you, before Comey, but like Comey just shed light on the fact that yeah, there's good agents in the FBI, but the organization is twisted. Yeah, and Project Veritas actually just did a piece with an FBI agent. Uh, who, when you should go check, people should go check that out. It was actually pretty enlightening. It breaks down the inner workings. But then, so here's the piece. So where was the section where they talked with the guy? So the nonprofit facility. Oh yeah. So the facilities were not rated. So it's not like they kicked the doors down and started digging stuff up. He says, but the executive director, it's Comité de Bienestar, confirmed to the Gateway Pundit that their membership coordinator Gloria Torres received search warrants at the nonprofit office, and law enforcement is looking for evidence of voter fraud in the 2020 presidential election. But in case you're thinking it's not linked, so it says there was a comment here. Um, yeah, so the says that 2000 Mules documentary is starting to permeate all throughout this process. He then confirmed that officers showed up at the office, confiscated the phone, and basically went to her house. So, and this is a woman who was already arrested a few days ago. So they're going after him. They're going after him, and I think there's hope here. Now, do I think Donald Trump's going to get back in office this
No.
before 2024? No, I still to everyone. I hate to burst bubbles with that, but that's just not realistic. It's just not realistic, right? I mean, like, do you think so? You think that because we're in uncharted territory? That's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, it's not going backwards. It's too late. That ship has sailed. What we need to do is there's a hole in the bottom of the boat, right? And we need to patch that hole. And you got a
Yep.
lot of people for partisan reasons that don't want to admit that there's a hole there. And so without evidence like this, you're going to have half the people always saying, "Oh, you're nuts for thinking there's a hole in the boat." But we're going down, and and that's a fact. And it's been happening for many, many years. Both sides, Republicans and Democrats, are guilty of rigging the system. So it's not going to reverse it, but it is going to make headway in closing that
Yeah.
hole
Well, that
up.
look in the end, if they start arresting, right? If because the way that I'm hearing it is like this has been the main process for election fraud for a very long time. The
Yeah.
Dropbox thing, right? Or not even just the drop boxes, but even before the drop boxes, like there were people who were messing with mail, with mailed votes and things of that nature. It's just now it's exaggerated because of this, everybody universal mail-in ballots, and they just have all of these ballots to work with. So, but like the ones where they would get them from the nursing homes, and they would people were totally catatonic, but yet they voted, and like those, you get the hats right. When I die, don't let me vote Democrat, right? Like there's that stuff that's been going on forever. And it's not, it wasn't shocking to me to hear, but knowing that this is knowing that this is the main way that they do it, that this, and I still want to see the machines. I still want to see, these Dominion voting machines. I have zero faith in technology to keep an election secure. And you know why? Because I work in technology. And if there's anything that when you work in technology, it's that there is no such thing that a properly motivated hacker can't get into. And I will tell you, these election machines are not nearly as secure as like government computers and things of that nature. They're just not. They're just not. They're not even supposed to be connected to the internet, yet they are. And it's like, well, then why? Why are they?
Right. And
Right.
why are they routed overseas?
Well, yeah, and the thing is, like, Maricopa was protecting their routers with their lives. I mean, to the point that they even came out and said one of the dumbest things anybody in tech knows is that they have all the sensitive information stored on the router.
Yeah.
Like they don't even understand what a router is. Like they think it's a storage device.
Right.
Like they think they're going to go in there and try and find some emails. Like it was so stupid when they went and said it, that I'm just like, like it's typical government that somebody like that would be running the freaking show. It would be handling IT. Like that's a major threat to our security. That someone that stupid, that's like, was storing information on our routers. Like, for people that don't understand, routers are just a gateway. They're just a gateway. The only information you're going to get from the router is IP addresses. That's it.
Right. And
It's
that's
going to
what
tell
we
you
wanted.
where the router pinged to, and that
Yeah.
was significant because they're trying to determine, number one, why was it connected to the internet in the first place, the Dominion machines, and number two, why was where were
Where
the
was the
pings going?
information going?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where was it going? At what time of day? Absolutely. That's what routers do. So,
Sheila
one of
says
the
you have
other
to be
things.
like the honey badger.
Yeah.
Honey
Right.
badger don't give a shit.
One of the other things we saw in that movie. Are we going back into that honey badger thing again? I watched
love the
about a
honey
half an hour
badger, bro.
video on honey badgers
I
after our
love the
last
honey badger,
conversation.
bro.
Yeah,
No
I went
honey
down
badgers in the circus.
the honey badger trail. Um, so one of the things that came out in Dinesh's documentary, and I don't recall what the name of it is. It was a Spanish word for somebody that goes around and they collect the votes from local citizens, and they basically show up at the door and knock on the door, tell them how to vote, help them fill it all out, tell them who the best candidate is, and take their vote and drop it in a mailbox. And that is something, she said, there is a lot of that going on in the
That's in San
Latino
Luis.
community.
Right, and that's why I'm saying it's significant, because that's in that city of San Luis, and the place that they went into was a lot. It's Comité de Bienestar, which is like the Committee of the Good Star, I think, or something. I don't know. Comité, I think it's committee. I don't know, but Estar, I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't speak Spanish fluently enough, but it's clearly a Spanish organization, so they're clearly going in there being, trying to get to the bottom of, like, what they're doing, because these are the type,
Yeah.
when she says that they take advantage of Latinos, okay, well, then now we got them going into a Latino, you know, rock the vote kind of place, right? And we see how they're rocking it. So Robert
Right.
says, we have to stop it from happening again. This is hardcore evidence. Low level people need to be prosecuted. Yeah.
Yep.
So as a New Yorker and someone who grew up and got to witness the Giuliani era, that's how he cleaned up New York City. That's how he did it. He didn't go after, well, he did also prior take out the five Godfathers, but like that wasn't the problem. Like the Godfathers weren't causing the craziness in the streets like that. Like the everyday, He went after the small guys. And the theory was you go after the small guys, and for the most part, you're going to find the big guys. Even see some overlap where the big guys are doing some small time stuff every now and then, and you can catch them that way. But sure enough, it only took them 2 years to take New York from one of the worst cities to live in, kind of like it is now, to one of the greatest places, one of the safest cities on the planet. I mean, what Giuliani did with that city, it's a damn shame to watch it all go to crap again.
It's a mess right now.
Damn shame.
Yeah.
And what's up, Alex? How are you, sir? Hello from us. But yeah, it's a shame, no?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's never been this bad in my lifetime. You know, there are the murders that are taking place on the street. It's insane. It's
And
insane.
the election fix in New York, California, like there are certain states where, like, I could tell you, I haven't been in New York in ages. So I mean, I left the New York, New Jersey area in like 2007. So, but I can speak to California, and I can tell you out here, there is zero legitimacy to the elections that go on out here. Zero.
Well, they wouldn't shut the doors at the same time the East Coast does. I mean, you know, they were done counting and said, "Oh, California's done," before you know the East Coast does. And it's already in the bag.
Like they're just waiting to queue it up from like the morning of the election. Like, so like,
Yeah.
when do you want to? How long do you want to hold on to the California votes? Do you want?
Well,
I got
dinner at 9, so yeah, we got to get to the country club, George. So you know what? Why don't we this time around? They're all expecting it anyway. Let's pull the plug at 6 p.m. and this way we can have our cocktails and get it over with.
And it's crazy because people don't realize that, you know, California is not as left as it's tagged. Like where I
No.
live, Inland Empire, it is not leftist. They had a freaking, you know, while Trump was in office, they had some country band come. There's this huge, like, undeveloped piece of property that eventually will get developed, but it's just there right now and it's enormous. And they went and like built a stage there and had this country band come and like, and freaking, I was out of town at the time that this went down, but I'm seeing all the people I know posting pictures to Facebook, and it literally was like a Trump rally. I mean, there were freaking American. I don't even want to say a Trump rally. It was just a patriot rally. Like it was just flags everywhere. It was just like everybody fight, and it's like crazy for me to think that like if you see American flags, you have to assume it's not a Democrat. It's like, no, they don't carry those. Well, you know what? But like some do, right? Some do. And I don't want to go down that road because in the end, there are still Democrats who love America and think this stuff is all crazy. Like there are plenty of Democrats out there. And yeah, a lot of them are meeting conservatives, you know, and conservatives are not, you know, like there was a day where conservatives were, you know, the Republican Party, first of all, defined them, where now it doesn't. Like there are plenty of conservatives who can't stand the Republican Party any more than they can stand the Democrat Party. But like it used to pretty much be labeled as all, you know, it's run by evangelicals, right? And while we still are, most Christians, you know, fall on the side of conservatism. It's it's becoming a constitutional thing more so than anything else. It's becoming just a matter of like, you know, all right, you know, I'm a Christian, you know, I take, you know, I do my thing, but like, and you're, you know, something else, you do your thing, but we're finding that middle ground on the Constitution. It's like we both, you know, yeah, you know, you may be, you know, you may be Jewish or Muslim or whatever, and I may be Christian, but like everyone's starting anyone who sees themselves as an American is starting to find common ground. And
Yeah, look
that's
at Bill Maher. Look at Bill Maher,
yeah,
George. I mean, after all those years of watching Bill Maher just tear everything up just as an automatic reflex, kind of
yep.
like we all did, right? We all just immediately jumped to defend our side. Well, I think what's happening now, you and I, we're not so ready to jump and defend the the Republicans. Bill Maher's not so ready to jump and defend, the Democrats or the liberals. Why?
Right. And he's
Because
still
there's
not,
nuts
it's
on
not like he
both
loves
sides.
Trump now. Yeah,
Huh?
it's not like he all of a sudden loves
No.
Trump either. It's like I said, we're meeting in middle ground. Like we're understanding that like there are actually people in this world that want to put tampons in the boys' room. You know,
Yeah.
like there's just an element of sanity that has been lost. And there's literally two generations or so of people now, and one of those generations is starting. They're in their early 20s now, like, and maybe even late 20s now at this point, who like believe all this crazy, like these Marxists have turned it. They're at a stage now where they're literally just punking these generations. like honestly, like even they would have never done anything this stupid, you know, in back in the day. But they've so advanced in making them believe anything that they say, and they've so controlled the schools now, like they're so infiltrated that they're literally like just playing the punk game and being like, oh yeah, and men can have babies. All right, so if any of your parents tell you men can't have babies, you tell them they're racist and a bigot. And these kids are going home like, of course men can have babies, yes they can, and they like argue for it, right? And then like the dude who's up top just laugh like, it's just, all right, what's next? you know
Yeah. Keep them separated. That's really what a lot about it, what a lot of this is about. It's just this. It's the separation. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I think there's a lot of people that are starting to understand where the focus of commonality needs to be on our constitutional rights, and it needs to be focused in on the fundamentals, right?
Yep.
Taking
Yeah.
the centralized government, which has gained far too much power, and reducing that and bringing it back into the hands of the states. If we do not do that, our centralized government is slowly going to meld with the UN and the globalists to the point where our Constitution won't be worth what it's printed
We
on.
got it, Jack. We got this. We got
I
this.
know.
And I mentioned earlier, if anyone jumped on late, tomorrow night, well, evening, we're going to have the state director of Massachusetts for Convention of States, Michael Arnold, on, have some conversation about what's going on in Massachusetts. I'm fascinated by Massachusetts, um, maybe even more so than Pennsylvania, although Massachusetts, the amount of grassroots effort that has to take place in Massachusetts to get that through committee, and then it got pushed to a vote to the next session. Then they ended up cutting that session short. So now tomorrow, they're going to debate it on the floor. So we'll have some scoop from that debate, and then they're going to do two readings with it. So it'll probably get the final vote in the House in a week or so. But can you imagine passing that? Like, if it passes the House, like, honestly, like, Michael Arnold's going to be my hero. I'm getting my Michael Arnold T-shirt. I'm going and getting it. If he get because honestly, like a state like Massachusetts, I mean, now mind you, there's an element of Massachusetts that, as leftist as it is different than California, or like it has that colonial feel to it still. You know what I mean? Where like that aura, I guess. It's hard to explain. Like there are certain states that have it. Like New York's kind of lost it, but like Virginia has it, right? Like you go to Virginia, you just kind of feel that colonial feel. Like there's an element of that in the blood there. So like, messing with the Constitution, you can get support. And then Mern, I want to give this shout out. I put it up before and I moved away from it. I want to just go through some comments. She said Jersey needs poll workers, so spread the word. So folks, to all of my Jersey peeps that might watch this later on, I know we got about 15 people on now, but like to those that might watch this later on, I want to make sure that you respond to this, right? New Jersey needs poll workers, folks. We've seen what goes on, right? We've seen the stuff that goes on. It's imperative that we be all over this. That we be all over this, right? New Jersey's not lost the way California is. Like it's not in that lost camp. I hate to keep talking about Cali like that, but like I honestly don't see any end in so like they have such control here that it's like even the Republicans are like pseudo leftists. Like there's like nobody. I mean, some in the very local, very, very local, but like but anyway, they need poll workers, so let's go ahead and respond to that. Um, let me see what else we got here. So, and then we had there's nowhere to hide when Giuliani was in office. Absolutely,
True.
Giuliani was all over it. That guy is the greatest. Had the best results of any leader in my lifetime. I'll never see a change, a metamorphosis, the way I watched New York City change again. I don't think so anyway. I'll be stunned if I do. Let's see. Maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, De Blasio was a close second. I mean, that was a metamorphosis as well.
Yeah.
I'm being a wise guy. Yeah.
I know. For
Yeah.
a second, I was like about to go at you. I'm like, nah, this looks like it's like
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
Jack's little place. All right. So Veronica says, beware of false flag shootings. You know, look, people are dead right now, right? So, but I think I understand what she's saying. Like it's the kind of thing where like the people that are involved in this, they don't care about human life. So like, it can be a false flag. I wouldn't, with all the craziness that I've seen in the last few years, like I don't take anything not serious, but like right now I'm more in silence for the families, and
Hmm.
I can't even wrap my head around losing my kid, and I can't even.
Yeah. In some ways, George, I don't know that we'll see a lot of planning. Let's say, there's some master plan, some puppet master behind the scenes. I see that far less as they've created the soup, and the
Well, you
mix is
see, she
right.
put up another comment here. So she put up.
Yeah,
She's saying she's from Australia, I guess. So she's saying they took our guns in Australia, and it was set up by false flag shootings. So she's saying that she's been through this already, and
right.
like these are going to start happening, and there is merit to that. There's merit to the idea that every time one of these happens, another leftist politicizes it and turns it into an attack on the Second Amendment. So there is some merit to that. And if she's lived through this in Australia, I can't sit here and tell her
Yeah,
that,
no.
that that's
Hey,
not legit.
George, I want to make a point because
Yeah.
Veronica brings up a very good point, right? And like I was saying before, it's not impossible. What'd she say? Don't hand in your guns. Yeah, we agree
She's saying
with
if
you,
the
and
if the USA falls, the world falls too, is what she's trying to
we
say.
agree. We agree, and
Yeah.
we're not, Veronica. We're not going to give up our guns. Okay,
Yeah, we're in this
so
fight.
yeah, we are. So here's the other part of it is that take a look at, and I don't want to go down, a whole new trail here, but you take a look at the border and the people that are letting across the border, right? We're letting a lot of druggies in. We're letting a lot of people that are criminals into this country right now. They're spread all over the place. We have district attorneys who are doing catch and release, and they're releasing criminals back on the street, right? We also have all of this lockdown and psychological turmoil. When I said earlier, I don't know that there's a mastermind, like a puppet master pulling the strings of any shooting. The soup is right. There's enough in the mix between the nuts coming across the border, the nuts they're letting out as catch and release, all of these psychological pressures that are on our children. It's a boiling pot, right? And so they've created this pressure cooker, and things are going to blow. And then they can point at it. So it can happen organically because of that pressure cooker that's been put in place.
This is
If you
kind
see
of
my
what
point there.
Mateus Desmet was saying with mass formation psychosis. Like that gets all these people so crazy is like it can get them all fired up to do irrational stuff. It
All
is like
right.
those conditions, like it creates those conditions where like there's this free floating anxiety, and then you've got all these things. The border's out of control, COVID's happening, they're locking down, make you wear a mask, won't let you fly. Well, like your whole life is just turned upside down in a matter of 2 years, and it makes people crazy anxious, and they do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And like, and then we don't know what the effect is, on our kids yet. And in the end, like that just points me back to the reality that when, like, every time you hear a government official or one of these WF sociopaths or any of these people try and give it a speech, like we've seen what COVID has done, like COVID didn't do anything to you. Like, remember that. And don't let them forget it. COVID did nothing to you. Okay. No more than any other virus. Like pneumonia kills people too. All right. The flu kills people. All kinds of viruses out there kill the frail people that were getting killed by this. But that's not what killed hundreds of thousands of people. And that's not what destroyed our economy. And that's not what caused the collapse. It was their bad decision making that did those things. So
Yeah.
when they turn around and tell you they have a solution to save you from it, just laugh and walk away.
Yeah. Because they're the
Because
ones that have put it in place.
that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And now we got this monkeypox crap going on. Like I'm over it. There are no words to describe how little I give an F about monkeypox. Like none. Like I can't even put it to words how meaningless monkeypox are to me.
Oh, just as an FYI, I'm putting together a monkeypox video, but it's it's going to be on the lighter side though.
Yeah, make it a comedy, bro, because that's
And
exactly what it is.
it is. I'm gonna in the next couple of days. I'm looking forward to getting your reaction, George.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
All right.
I'm all over the comedy.
All right.
Says we also need call challengers and Dropbox watchers. Yeah, Dropbox watchers we need. Like there's got to be an organization that can cycle people in. Like I will donate to that organization in a second. You tell me you got a nationwide organization of Dropbox watchers, I guarantee you that people will be dumping. They'll have more money. Someone's going to walk out of there in a scandal because there's going to be so much money pouring in, and there's going to be like an army of people around every Dropbox. like that's how much money would be in there. And then yeah, that's the call challengers. So let me see what else we got. So God bless the families who suffered a loss in Texas. Absolutely. And right after that, amen for guns. I'm really rocking here, huh? I'm on fire. I'm on fire. My context is just absolutely perfect. All right. They want being in the UN. They need a crisis. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're saying. It's like, and then Lorna, another question. I'm still interested in convention of states. However, I've heard some concerns over states having control. All right. So just like now, states all in on this WHO takeover of the WHO. So is convention really a good idea if the states don't protect you from it? So the states aren't all in on this WHO, and frankly, the WHO is completely overrated. And here's the difference between like all of these, and I get messages from people about this, they're going to take our sovereignty. It's like you guys got to really look in to how the system works because there are fear mongers out there, not just the idiots that start with this runaway convention nonsense, but there are fear mongers out there who are literally for clicks just going ahead and stirring up all this garbage. There was never a chance. Okay, and I'm going to say it to you as clearly as I can, because people are like, "Why is everyone ignoring this?" And I'm one of them. I pretty much ignored it, and I ignored it because there's no chance of it becoming a reality, even if and now they're saying, I guess Bannon was reporting that overnight they got rid of those amendments that they put into, what I'm talking about, Jack. This is where the WHO was
Hmm.
gonna be able to have sovereignty to call a health emergency and start making decisions. Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
work that way.
Well,
Like everyone needs to just chill, because the Constitution, while everyone says it's everyone's blowing it off, they're not listening. Like they're trying to not listen. They're trying to blow off the they're not blowing off the correction. They're blowing it off, and then the Constitution is blowing them back in place. If you look at all the stuff they've done, right? So Biden tries to overuse regulatory agencies to, to put mandates in place, and mask mandates and vaccine mandates, and mess with your employer, and then it got shot down, right? So yeah, the bad news is we got to deal with it for a few months, but like in the end, so far, all right. Now, mind you, you get a court full of Ruth Bader Ginsburgs, and this could be a very different country. And at that point, a convention of states would be the absolute only way. Only way. It still is the only way, in my opinion. But there would literally either that or nullification. And nullification, if you ever hear someone telling you nullification instead of convention of states, don't let them sugarcoat it. They're talking about civil war. That's what it is. Nullification is like the state's rights to just say, no, I'm not doing this. And while that works well on this law or that law, or, these individual, you can't just say, I'm not doing anything. You
Right.
can, but it's going to turn into war. Like it's going, that doesn't end well. That's the kind of thing that might happen if, let's say we pass amendments and then the government goes rogue and tries to just, but again, that's war, right? So, like the whole point of convention of states is to avoid war. The whole point that Mason made, right, was not to leave the process, to provide an avenue for amendments. And to quote him, he said, rather than leave it to chance and violence,
Right.
because they understood, right? There's only two ways a government comes down. It either collapses in and of itself, or it gets overthrown in a war.
Hey, George,
Yeah.
I'd like to address Lorna's question as well.
Yep.
And so, Lorna, here's another way to think about it, right? Right now, what you're depending upon is a centralized government. That centralized government, as you can see, is making decisions that are impairing your freedoms. And I'm sure you agree with that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this. Now, think about if the power gets in the hands of the states, right? We decentralize that one decision making arm and we spread it throughout the United States over 50 different decision making arms. So, what you're doing then is you're taking the risk of this country falling in the hands of globalists, going from one entity, which is our centralized federal government, to being spread out across 50 entities. So while you still may have concerns that all 50 may come to terms and say, oh, we're all going global, the reality of that is highly unlikely. And so you're increasing your
It's
odds. So
impossible.
think about, I know, but I didn't want to say that. But think about it that way, Lorna. You're going to have fun. What's in that cup? And let me have some. So, but think about it that way, Lorna. It's spread. Your risk is spread out. All right. You're at the card table, and now you got 50 chances of winning instead of one.
Yeah, and Lorna, it's also important to understand the difference. Like Jack and I talk about this all the time. I know Jack put a couple of examples in one of his recent videos, but like that, that when you look at the way that the founders decided that this should run, and one of the reasons term limits is a part of what we want to accomplish, is because it was never designed to be a career. And when you look at the state legislatures or state legislators, many of them, I would say most of them, in some states, all of them are not full time. They're doing this for service. They're not being paid heavily. They're not, some of these legislatures only meet every other year. So, and the ones that don't, the ones that meet more frequently in the bigger states, those would meet, maybe twice. They'll have two sessions a year for a couple of months. Like this is not, it's not a full time career the way it is, the way it's become in the federal government. It was never designed to be that way. It used to be, this is why we have regulatory agencies, because the federal Congress thinks they have too much work to do. Well, once we get these passed, we'll free up a lot of time for them. They
Yeah,
can go chill, hang on the
they can go to the
beach,
beach.
relax. We got this, right?
They could
So
start a podcast.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
They
because
can
we
start
have
a
so much time
podcast.
on
We'll
our
have
hands.
them on the show.
Yeah, why not? Come on,
But
Nancy.
yeah,
Can we talk? We'll do the Joan Rivers thing with her.
yeah.
Yeah. How about some coffee? We'll
Uh,
talk.
Let me see what else we got here. So we got, yep, the drop. She means Dropbox. Absolutely, Dropbox watchers and Shift. And then Sheila's saying we do have some organizations here in Jersey. Let me know where to donate, Sheila. Let me know. Let me know, because I definitely we don't need them here in California. They'll just nobody gives that. Everyone they'll arrest them.
Yeah.
So this is what we need: the people coming together and watching for corruption and being there to see it. Yeah, and that's with the Dropbox is like, look, if they're gonna turn off the cameras, so be it. It's nothing illegal about video in that Dropbox. Nothing illegal at all. And frankly, cell phone video will be far superior to that crappy freaking overhead camera video where they don't even get, they never get the right angle. Like it always comes out blurry. Like it's just, nonsense. So
Yeah,
David
it's like a
Alaka says,
UFO video,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it
Navy
is.
spots
It is.
UFO. It's a dot.
Bro, in
It's like
2000 Mules, they even blurred out the dog. The guy walked the dog.
yeah.
I'm like, why are you blurring the dog out? Like,
Well, a dog has rights. He
yeah,
could identify as a human and sue you.
yeah. Oh God, David Alaka says, I was vaccinated for smallpox when I was young, as were a lot of people. Wouldn't that protect us against monkeypox? I think they said yes. I heard that was the case. That anyone who's been vaccinated against smallpox should be vaccinated against monkeypox.
Well, I would
Again,
look that up now.
there are
Because
no words to describe how little I give a damn about
yeah,
monkeypox.
but all the
Right?
literature could change.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, you know what? And in advance, I also don't give a damn about the next variant of COVID, just in
Nah.
case. Never know when that's going to pop up on the scene. Maybe monkeypox won't work. So, just in advance, I want to make sure everyone knows that too. But thanks for the comment, David. Much appreciated.
Hey, George.
No, we have no use for globalization. Convention of States, it is. Yes, it is, Lorna.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Convention
ma'am.
of States, it is. And I'm going to be putting out a video to get into some of these haters. It's taking me a little more time for the Publius Holder video. If you've ever read articles or seen videos from Publius Holder, um, I'm going to have some fun with this one. We're going to try and bring Publius to the light. We'll see if we could do it. What else do we got? We got that one. So set them straight, George. Keep watching the Patriot Think Tank. George will break it down for you. Much appreciated, Sheila. Yeah, we definitely will break it down for you guys. We're, here's one. Jack's frozen. Yeah, Jack. So if anyone's wondering, like, why I have like a crisp picture and Jack's a little blurry, when we go live, Jack is in Georgia, Carnesville, right? Is that the name of it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, he's out in the sticks. Let's just say that. And they don't really do fast internet in the sticks. So he's working on like a 1.5 megabit per second upload, which based on that, considering that really you need an absolute minimum of 5 to be able to, to ensure a high quality stream. Yeah. So he's about 5 times less that. So he's gonna freeze every now and then. We might lose him for a second. He disappears. He comes back. We're patient. We work with it. We work with it. It's better than living in California.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so here's one from Twitch. There we go. We got Twitch engaged now. Outstanding. Nationals over Globies. Absolutely. Nationalists over Globies. And they even nationalists, patriot, like these sociopaths, they've conditioned these generations to like think those are dirty words. Like I've had people, comment when we make posts like about the name the Patriot think tank, and they're like, I've come to learn anyone who calls himself a patriot is usually the exact opposite, or blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, but you've probably also learned that men can have babies, so we have to take this in context to who you are. Like, and in reality, that's the truth, right? Like, I would never like. I'm not letting them hijack the word patriot, and frankly, everyone tries to associate nationalist with Hitler. And it's like, dude, Hitler was not a nationalist. Just because the reality of the matter is, nationalists don't kill their own people, because that like defeats the purpose of loving your country, is murdering your own people. He was no more a nationalist than China. The People's Republic of China is a republic. Like evil people always name themselves, something admirable, so they look a little less evil. All right. So, all right. I mean, look, it's exciting news. I'm happy to hear that the 2000 News documentary is being taken seriously. Right. Like that's really all I wanted from it. I wanted to see an investigation. I wanted to see somebody, you know, go after it. I wanted to see somebody give a damn, right? Like after 2020, you've got all of the, like, just from the face of it, right? Like, because everyone's saying, "Oh, well, Biden won because everyone hated Trump." It's like, well, I'm looking at that and I'm like, but Trump got, like, if everyone hated Trump so much, how did he get 10 million more votes than he did the first time? Like nothing that they said added up. Nothing. Like, and it was just, and then you had the Dominion machines, and you had this, and you had that, and and I'm just like, Here's one: Hitler is gay. Hitler as gay changed my mind." Nope, I ain't trying to change your mind. I'm with you. I'm with you. There's but like all of these anomalies that took place, and then the video evidence starts coming out. And all I'm asking for, like when they're pulling out the votes from under the tables and counting them after they threw everyone out, and the fake water leaks, and stopping the counting in the dead of night, and then then resuming it, well, like all of these things, like all I'm saying is I want an explanation, and there never has been one. Like the fact that everyone blew this off, from the courts to no one wants to get involved, right? Even Dr. Shiva, in his lawsuit in Massachusetts, no lawyer would take his case. Like only the great Rudy Giuliani, who still is the great Rudy Giuliani, would dig into this and try and get to the bottom of it. And then what do? They try and tear down another great man, right? Like I can't do these people anymore. I want to see these mules start to crack, and I want to see them start turning into pigeons. That's what I want to see.
And that's what's going to happen. It'll happen. Look,
I think so.
yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that's wrong and has been wrong for a very long time, and you can't turn it around overnight. But there are a lot of people. Huh? We all knew that DJT was for us.
Donald J. Trump. So,
Oh,
and we did, but that
yeah.
doesn't. I catch a lot of flack from our base when I talk about Trump. Like, so- and mind you, I had the Trump board game, folks. All right, I was into Trump before it was cool. All right, but I still, no president's going to save us. Period. That's what it comes down to.
Well, yeah. If it's a Band-Aid.
That's it.
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid. Look, we've had some great presidents in the past, and here we are still, right? We have to make fundamental changes.
So he says Shiva is angry that Trump didn't call him. So listen, Shiva has more brilliance in like his pinky toe. Like this dude is friggin' got 4 degrees from MIT. Like he's a beast, all right? And the reality is the entire Trump investigation into Dominion voting machines that Giuliani went through was because of the work that Shiva did in Massachusetts. He's the one who discovered the percentage votes that were getting added on. Like one person would be getting 1.2 votes for every vote. Like Shiva was the one who figured that out. So let's not take credit from the dude because he's in beast mode. Like nobody would take his case. He taught himself how to be a lawyer. Like normal people don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like normal people don't do that. And I read the entire transcript. Back when the channel was young, we did a piece on him where about that trial that he's on, where he actually by himself, all by himself, the judge is feeling. I'm reading the whole transcript. The judge is feeling this guy's case. He's feeling it, and he had Twitter come. He forced Twitter to friggin' come down to the courtroom. Then Twitter got caught lying and was caught in contempt. Like because then the whole thing went to the collusion. Like this dude's in beast mode. Like as a citizen, look, we need people like Shiva on our side. That's all I can tell you. We need people like him on our side. There's no doubt about that. That dude is another and say, yeah, that's right. He invented email, right? Like that's right. He invented email. So like the dude's in beast mode. Like I'm gonna leave Shiva, I don't think he gives two butts if Trump comes and or doesn't come or whatever. Like that dude is on his own level. Like he's just doing his thing and it is what it is. Hey, we have someone who remembers the older episode. You guys should check it out. It should be in the YouTube play. You're gonna have to scroll way down in the YouTube list, but like we broke down basically that whole trial, how it was going, etc. And I believe there's even a link to the transcript for that trial. It's a good read. It reads like a novel, to be honest with you. The judge was like giving him love.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good episode. And
Yeah.
it brought a lot to light. I mean, that guy, he's absolutely brilliant. And you know what?
No, he is. That's the thing. He's
You
just
know,
so smart that it's like,
and here's the thing though. What it's really going to take is the not so brilliant people like you and I. I mean, we're
what do
not
you mean that's so good?
we're not anybody's fool, George, but we're not, we're not inventing the next generation of a rocket either, right? But the fact of the matter is that it's going to take people, lots and lots of individuals, not one crazy smart guy, but all of us to get together and push and keep the momentum going so that we can execute. That's right, execute, Sheila, on cause. Because the smart people will come and go, right? Some of them will just get taken out. They'll be hanging from their closet door, right? How'd that happen? Oh, he is depressed because he's so smart, right? These people could come and go. We have to band together. We have to execute. We have to make this happen, and we have to make changes that will stay in effect and live through the different turnovers that will occur in the central government. We can't just have each turnover dictate how we're going to live our lives, because then we're just up and down, and that's the gerbil on the wheel, right?
Permanent fixes.
We need to level it out, and we need to do it at our level, right?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
agree, man.
All right, George, I'm getting tired. I've been baling
Yeah,
hay
me
all
too.
day out here in Georgia.
And you're old too, so
Yeah.
let's remember that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
You don't
start
let me
dyeing my
forget it, do
beard
you?
brown so that you look even older.
Here we go.
All right. Yeah. So look, everyone, thank you for coming on. Let's be fired up. Don't forget tomorrow night, we're going to have the state director for cause in Massachusetts, giving us some updates about how things have been going there. The grassroots are beast mode in Massachusetts. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation with him. And then we're probably going to bring him back on in a couple of weeks when they do that final vote. Win or lose, we're going to bring him on and have that conversation as well. But it's a great opportunity to learn about Kaz. The guy knows a ton. He's very witty. I had a conversation with him already. Great dude, Christian man. God-fearing person, my kind of dude. So, all right, Jack, you got anything?
I'm done.
All right. So on that note, we're out.
And like that.